All right, we've got another 1v1 here. It's going to be, again, Tlaxtlan Soothsayer versus HjalleNalle. And in a change of events, we've got some Greenskins going on. You guys know how much I dislike Greenskins because anything green that looks like that is absolutely abominable. Let's go over this fight here and go over these armies real quick because this is a long one, so we want to kind of get into the goods real quick like. So, for the Tlaxtlan Soothsayer, almost said Lore Master of Sotek, for Tlaxtlan Soothsayer's army, we've got quite a wide army. He's gone with a lot of Goblin Spears in the very front, versus High Elves, by the way. He is playing against High Elves. His kind of secondary line is filled with Orc Boys, 2 units right there and there. He's got the Regiment of Renown unit, the 8 Peak Loonies. These are Night Goblin Fanatics here. They do have their little Goblin Fanatic ball and chain that's going out, as well as some poison attack, which is quite nice. And they've got 2 units of Savage Orc Boar Boys on the right flank, 1 more unit of Savage Orc Boar Boy Big Guns on the left flank, and then a unit of Orc Boy Big Guns, but the Broken Tusks mob, which is the Regiment of Renown version of these guys. For the most part, just simply a lot better stats, but they do have Encourage, which is great as another kind of linchpin for the low leadership of the typical kind of Greenskin army. Now, in the center field, we've got a unit of Doomdiver Catapults. We have a Goblin Wolf Chariots, and then in the very back, we have Durkiks, Squigs, Night Goblins, Squig Hoppers, Regiment of Renown. These guys, of course, have AP and anti-infantry, which will help out against some of the more elite units for the High Elf front line. Immune to Psychology is also a great thing with them. Now, we also have, for the leadership here, Azog the Slaughterer, Azag the Slaughterer, Azizag here. Now, he's going to be having access to Fate of Buna and Spirit Leech, just these 2 spells. He also has his patented Wa ability. He's got Get On With It that helps out with leadership as well. But that kind of sums up our Greenskin line here. Let's jump on over to the High Elves. Again, we want to get through this quite quickly. HjalleNalle has gone with a ton of Illyrian Reaver Archers. There's 2 over here. There are 2 more over here. In addition, with this unit of 2 of Illyrian Reaver Archers, we also see the... Oh, God, it's Regiment of Renown Lothern Seaguard. Trying to get... the Storm Riders. Now, these guys are the Regiment of Renown version. The biggest difference here is they do not have access to shields. They have a slightly longer range, and they can fire wills to moving, which is a pretty interesting trait. You don't see these guys out too often, but I think that with this whole right flank over here, they have a pretty set line of doing, or I'm sorry, pretty set role of kind of setting up a front line in these trees and just kind of shooting out. So it's kind of an interesting point for HjalleNalle. Now, his entire secondary line is just simply Spearmen. Nothing's fancy there. Ooh, I missed these guys here, these Goblin Wolfires in the very far back. I didn't even see that they were there when I was watching this replay. Now we've got 2 units of Silver Helms, and then 1 unit of Terranok Chariots. We have the Flamespire Phoenix here. Usually you see the Frostheart Phoenix because they do quite a bit more damage in melee. The Flamespire Phoenix does have their deadly bombs of destruction that they drop. In tabletop, they have the ability to fly over things and do damage. Creative Assembly's interpretation of that is just simply dropping bombs. Now, in addition to that, these guys, if they reach low health, they have a chance of resurrecting and coming back at not necessarily 100% health, but like 90 or 80%. We're going to hover over that ability for you here real quick. Oh, God, I hate trying to... Aha, there it goes. Rebirth. So, below 90, they will come back with a crap ton of hit points. They'll explode in a nice little awesome fashion there. And we also have Alarielle the Radiant with her typical kit. This has kind of been watered down a little bit. She does have Starve Avalorn, and she does have Earthblood, but there's no regrowth here. But let's see. Oh, she does have Arcane and Forging instead. So let's see this fight get underway here. This is going to be a doozy of one. It is a pretty long one. It's got a lot of back and forth, but it's a lot of fun. So I'm excited to cast this one here for you guys. Put this in regular motion and watch the Green Horde wah its way forward. Which, if it's not a verb already, it should be. So we're seeing some initial play over here by HjalleNalle. He's pushing in with his Illyrian Reaver Archers onto the flanks. And honestly, Illyrian Reaver Archers are probably my favorite, if not the absolute best, skirmisher fast attack cav in the game. That's purely anecdotal experience on my part, but I find them to be so cost effective and doing quite a bit of damage here. And you'll see when these guys kind of get firing that they do a good deal of damage to unarmored units. Now, they have a really good volume of fire. They're quite quick. The actual Regiment Renown version of these guys is the fastest land-bound unit at, I think, 120, 110 speed. To give you a frame of reference, the Flamespire Phoenix has 120 speed, so they're quite fast. Now, some initial kind of harrying shots coming out here. Tyrannok chariots starting to charge down the pipe right through the center here. Now, you can also see our Flamespire Phoenix and Storm Host going to town on the left flank. HjalleNalle is no longer shooting into the goblins. He's chosen the Orc Boar Boys as his target. Be mindful here, Orc Boar Boys do have bronze shields versus the goblins, which have silver shields, meaning that they will mitigate, I think, about 50% of small arms fire. These will only do about, I think it's like 35 or 15. It'll tell you by 35% for the bronze and 50 for the shields. And you can see here that we get a nice good charge in from the Tyrannok chariots into the flank of these goblins here, just bulldozing them, sending them flying. Oh man, look at that green carnage. And it's good. It's good to see Tyrannok chariots just scything their way through here, doing 50% damage on their first big charge. A great initial shot. The Wolf Chariots trying to get some harrying shots into Alarielle the Radiant, but both Alarielle the Radiant and the Flamespire Phoenix are choosing Azag as their target, going right for him. Azag does have 110 speed, which will outmatch Alarielle the Radiant, but the Flamespire Phoenix has 120, so over time can catch the Azag. Now, Tlaxtlan Soothsayer is using Foe Seeker every so often to just kind of boost him away from both of these opponents. You can see him just using it a little bit ago to get out of their initial charging arc, which is a really good play. A lot of those things that you typically see from high-level players, where they really understand the strengths and weaknesses of their characters. A nice flanking charge in from Durkit Squids into the Storm Riders here. They do have anti-large, but these guys, they do have AP and anti-infantry. They're going to chew their way through these with the support of the goblins in tow. A nice charge in from the Savage Orc Boy Big Guns into these Silver Helms. Now, Savage Orc Boy Big Guns, they do have anti-large, so they're just going to beat the brakes off of these Silver Helms. You can already see them starting to run away from that combined force of the Squigs and Goblin Spears there to reinforce them. Getting an Orc Boy charge into these Storm Riders, helping them to kind of put the end to their tyrannous ways with their damn archery. Now, as we see here still, the Flamespire Phoenix is just kind of chasing around Azag, trying to get some additional shots onto him. Every time he flies over the majority of the army, you can see there's going to be a lot of supporting fire from the Illyrian Reaver archers, trying to get any damage they can. Shutting down the leadership of the Greenskins is so huge on so many different ways. For one, yeah, you're getting rid of the linchpin of their leadership, but more importantly, getting rid of that access to Wa. Wa is so strong for the Greenskins, and getting access to it 1, 2, even 3 times in very long, prolonged battles can really change that power curve for you if you're fighting against Greenskins. Watching this battle just kind of go underway here. The Silver Helms have retreated back a little bit, getting a little bit of healing of an Earthblood that we missed just a second ago. Yep, there they are. Got an Earthblood on them as Alarielle flew over. Now you can see these big guns are going for a new target in the chariot, which is a really good one here. Again, keep in mind they do have access to anti-large. Getting a screening charge in from the Silver Helms to kind of stop that oppression onto the Tyrannok chariots. More archery coming in from the Illyrian Reavers on their back line there, shooting down range into these guys. Now, the Savage Orc Big Guns, they do not have a ton of health, or I'm sorry, they do not have a ton of armor, but they do have access to a physical resist since they are Savage Orcs. They have their Savage Paint, giving them 25% physical resist. In tabletop, I believe it was like a 5-up ward save that they had access to. The Flamespire Phoenix getting a couple scratches onto here. You also had Arcane Unforging being tricked off on top of Azog as well. And for the most part, Tlaxtlan Soothsayer is doing this quite well. He's got Azog flying around. He's using his spells as he needs to. But at the same time, HjalleNalle is taking advantage of this. He's using a faster creature to kind of get onto Azog, as well as trying to head off his charges, getting in front of him. The best way to chase something is not to follow it, but is to go where it is going. You want to head it off at the pass, as they say in all the proverbial Western movies. But you've got the Goblin Spears here coming into the Spearmen. For the most part, all of the kind of frontline combat has gone underway, right? You have a lot of the Orc kind of shock troops and specialized troops, which have been dealt a pretty good amount of damage from all the Silver Helms, all the Illyrian Reaver archers, from the Tyrannoks. Now you can see the Spearmen kind of coming in to reinforce what has been done. Tyrannoks again getting a little bit of a charge in here from Savage Orc Big Guns, mitigating that charge a little bit by kind of running away from it, but at the same time still receiving it. Goblins charging in with Spearmen, with chariots going all over the place, You've got the squigs coming in here as well. You've got more of those Savage Orc big guns jumping in on top of these spearmen. You've got other spearmen over here chasing the Broken Tusk mob here. Now, the Broken Tusk mob does have quite a bit of armor at 90, and the spearmen are pretty much going to be able to hold the line here. Star of Everlorn kicking off down on top of these Silver Helms, giving them some much needed health here so they can come back online. Doomdiver Catapult is ripping towards them, but they are in the cover of the trees. Good play by HjalleNalle there, using the trees to divert a lot of that artillery damage. Now, you've got the Illyrian Reaver Archers trying to pluck some additional damage into these Savage Orc Boy Big Guns and the Orc Boys over here, just helping to kind of shore up the line with this Spearman as well. Ariel the Radiant has broken off her pursuit of Ozog the Slaughter, kind of leaving into the Flamespire Phoenix to see what she can do to help out her beleaguered rear charge in from the Broken Tusk mob, sandwiching this thin line of High Elves. They are just getting completely slaughtered here. You can see their health dropping as they are now winded and routing away. Doomdiver Catapult getting ready to slam into some Illyrian Reaver's archers. Boom! Knocking dead on there. Now, Alarielle is having to jump into the fray, trying to help out shore some of the gaps here that are being created in her line from so much of the cavalry aggression from Tlaxtlan Soothsayer. Silver Helms charging right into the rear of these unbraced goblins, but a returning Fate of Buna being casted upon them as well. Oh, I'm sorry, there's a Spirit Leech. Oh, it's a Spirit Leech. There is a Fate of Buna that does get casted eventually. The Fanatics letting loose their little Fanatic balls of destruction, going crazy all over the place, ripping through some of these spearmen over here, as you can see. Flamespire Phoenix still kind of chasing in earnest, as well as the backline of the Savage Orc Big Guns, having finished off the Tirnoch Chariots over there, is now pushing its way over into the rest of this fight. The Goblin Wolf Chariots are pretty locked into combat here, so this releases them, frees them up from some of the damage being dealt by those spearmen. Goblin Wolf Chariots are not very armored, with only 45 armor here, so the Spearmen can do quite a bit of damage to them. We have a pretty huge center pocket of aggression here. We have the Illyrian Reaver two Illyrian Reaver Archers and Silver Helms getting smashed apart by Doomdiver Catapults, trying to put out this unit of Savage Orc Boy Big Guns as fast as possible. They are putting out a ton of damage, and getting rid of them because of their physical resist is going to be huge for the High Elves. Let's take a look at this fight here a little bit more. Illyrian Reaver Archers kind of pushing out from the trees. They have used up all of their ammunition now. Getting a nice charge into these Orc Boy Big Guns from the rear. Let's go ahead and put that little bad boy in slow-mo. Oh yeah, coming right on in. Ooh, look at that jump. Look at those beautiful horses. Ithelmar barding, just covering those things. They just look majestic. Not quite the charge that I think we all wanted, but it does the trick. Now, Illyrian Reaver Archers still are decent enough in combat. I mean, they're not going to win any fights against any other dedicated units that are cavalry units dedicated to combat, but they can hold their own, and against tier 1 infantry like this, they're going to do the job. They've got other supporting Illyrian Reaver Archers and Silver Helms jumping in here as well. This is kind of an interesting mirror here. We saw this with the Orcs versus the Spearmen. Now we're seeing the Orc Boy Big Guns being sandwiched by Illyrian Reaver Archers and Silver Helms here. It's like Tlaxtlan Soothsayer said, you know what, I'm going to do, or HjalleNalle said, I'm going to do the exact same thing to you. Goblin Spears coming in here to support these Orc Boys. Alarielle the Radiant dropping in as well. But for the most part, this is a pretty outmatched fight for them. More Illyrian Reaver Archers. Just kind of harrying these Savage Orc Boy Big Guns, but they are out of ammunition as well. For the most part, it looks like all of our Illyrian Reaver Archers are out of ammo. Getting a nice charge in here onto these Savage Orc Boy Big Guns. This is a pretty deadly fight. Alarielle the Radiant has used Star of Everlorn here to shore up a lot of the burst damage that's going to be coming out from them. But you have just a terrifying charge coming in through here. Oh man, the Broken Tusk just heaving in. The mighty wall going off, you can hear it. The Flamespire Phoenix dropping just bombs on them. Missing and actually hitting some Illyrian Reaver Archers right there. Getting a nice good drop there. 2 good drops right onto the Broken Tusk mobs. Oh, that was just a deadly charge. It was a charge in that went really well, that was just countercharged immediately. Those Savage Orc Boy Big Guns as well, that's physical resist and anti-large. They were going to do quite a bit of damage to all those units there. Flamespire Phoenix trying to get a good hold onto Azag, but just can't quite make it. To kind of focus back here real quick, we did get a quick charge from the Illyrian Reaver Archers onto the Doomdiver Catapults. It was quickly repulsed by the Savage Orc Boy Big Guns, and we see the Doomdiver moving forward. Just to kind of recap what was going on in that backline there. Did kind of miss that. The Spearmen coming to shore up with their Radiant Lady here. Going to be getting charged by some Goblin Spears. Boom. And then we have a deadly situation. Alarielle the Radiant is looking to get wrapped up completely. She's cast Arcane Conduit here, trying to get some additional healing. Maybe even another Arcane Unforging out. Oh, and is it? Yeah, yes. Oh, Foe Seeker and Arcane Forging. Foe Seeker to get some distance from the Flamespire Phoenix, and Arcane Forging from Alarielle to try and just get rid of Azag as fast as possible. He is just hanging on by a thread. Tlaxtlan Soothsayer has done a really great job of keeping him out of the fight. At the same time, HjalleNalle has done an amazing job of keeping pressure on him the entire fight. Doomdever Catapult coming down here, trying to target right onto Alarielle. Missing. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even see those guys back there. Probably actually trying to finish them off. Alarielle is in a bad situation here. These are a lot of anti-large AP units. Flamespire Phoenix is coming in, trying to do some damage. Azag in there. Ooh, a chunk of damage from his charge bonus. And Azag is almost dead here. 184 health. Alarielle is just going down fast. Her health has just been also capitulated by a ton of burst damage here. What are we getting? A heal? A Spirit Leech onto the Flamespire Phoenix. Azag has fallen. And Alarielle is also fallen off of her Doom Pigeon. Things are just going crazy. We have the Flamespire Phoenix, but for the most part, our High Elves have been put to rout. But so have the Greenskins. Now, having lost their leadership, having a pinion of terror in the army with the Flamespire Phoenix, HjalleNalle is in a great position here to try and just clean up some of these Greenskins going all over the battlefield. The biggest thing here is, member balance of power is influenced by the health of units. And we can see that this balance of power bar is still in the favor of HjalleNalle, but as things kind of come back from routing, it was a pretty huge shock to their leadership, losing their leader, as well as being in the middle of a terror-causing unit, did cause for quite a bit of routing. And as you can see, as this thing gets surrounded and just hit by anti-large and by AP, the balance of power bar will start to shift in the opposite direction if these guys all stay in the fight. But it looks like they're having a hard time with their leadership. There is no more leadership. The Flamespire Phoenix, again, does cause terror here. So, more charging in. And these guys in the back line the entire time. They did not charge out once. And I don't know if that's because Tlaxtlan Soothsayer forgot, because I forgot. And there it is. Balance of power bar has shifted all the way, and we have a win for Tlaxtlan Soothsayer in a really just bare-knuckle fighting match right there. HjalleNalle brought it all the way down to the end there. A lot of great play being done by his Illyrian Reaver archers. Gotta say, those things were just constantly moving and constantly firing the entire time. 85, 35, 28, 38. Usually they're shut down very early in the game, but Tlaxtlan Soothsayer brought a lot of cavalry aggression, a lot of cavalry pressure, with 71, 40, 76, 72 kills across all of his cav units. He really did a really great job of using the benefit of the 25% physical resist to the advantage of the Savage Orc Boy big guns. I think that Tlaxtlan Soothsayer knows that majority of the time when you're taking High Elves, you go a bit wider against Greenskins so that you can deal with them going as wide. And I mean, Tlaxtlan had, one-for-one matchup as far as like, okay, I've got a spear for a spear here. But using all these Savage Orc Boy big guns, even though they were fighting against anti-large units here, they're fighting against units that really couldn't bring anti-large to the fore with these four, or these two. I think he had the advantage here because there was nothing that was able to do enough burst damage down on all those Savage Orc Boy big guns. So great game to both Tlaxtlan and HjalleNalle, but overall great match again. We've got more quick battles here coming out throughout the rest of the week. But again, a huge thank to Tlaxtlan Soothsayer and HjalleNalle for this replay. We'll be getting plenty more coming your way. But as always, guys, thanks so much for watching. Have a good one and take care.